Hello, y'all. Welcome to week 16 of Weekly Hyperfixations. We're a little wonky this week, because of an early birthday present I got. More on that later, because I will talk about it a lot. First and foremost, some actual news. As most of you probably know, by this point, Pope Francis passed away on Easter Monday at, I believe, the age of 88. So we are currently in the interim process of selecting a cardinal to become the new pope. And there's, I think, about 5 really strong candidates that are more likely to get the position. So we'll see how that goes. I really hope it's one of these 2 men, and I do not remember their names. But one of them is a black man, and one of them is presumably, based on how he looks, Asian. That's as much as I wish I could be more specific, but I don't even remember the guy's name. But I really hope it's one of them, because first of all, the other people up for the position, all white. Also, I think it'll be really telling of America in general if it's not a white person, because I know Americans are terrible. I'm unfortunately an American. So we're in that interim process. It'll take a while. It'll take, I think, a month about. So look out for that. In terms of the Oscars, the Academy is finally requiring that in order to vote for Oscar nominees in the final round of voting, you are required to have watched and seen all of the nominated films, which is huge because a big part of that has impacted animation in particular. And I saw a couple things of people retweeting like comments people made about voting for, specifically like on the voting thing, voting for animated films, and they're all like, didn't see this, I'm abstaining from voting for this or whatever. So also, we won't have people who vote for things like Amelia Perez, who clearly just saw the synopsis and the keywords of Hispanic people and queer people and thought it was good because they didn't actually see it. So hopefully we won't run into that problem anymore. Also, it took you 95 years to require them to watch all of the things they're voting on. Stupid, I fear. Weird that it wasn't a requirement, actually. Coachella week 2 happened. The only highlights, as far as I can garner, first of all, Marina Diamandis really slayed again. I liked this outfit a little more than the previous one, but only because I enjoy the more sleek look. But also last week's was an Electra Heart outfit, so it makes sense. Then we had Tyla, who her outfit was an homage to the Britney Spears outfit where Britney Spears held that big snake. That outfit. It was also a nicer homage because the original outfit was like very middle, well, not even middle of the road. It was like uncomfortably orientalist for a white woman to be wearing. So, and the homage outfit that Tyla had was much better and it was more about how much fabric and what colors the fabric were than copy pasting. So that was a really good move. And then we've, there's been a bunch of videos of different crowds at Coachella and how some of the big singers, like Marina, some of her crowds, at least the first week, like no one knew her music outside of her newest stuff. So her crowds were like excited, but they weren't singing along or anything. And then there were some people where their crowd was basically just deceased. But as always, Enhypen had a very, very big, very, very energetic crowd. The most like hype crowd I've seen. Also in, I believe, Vogue? ? Enhypen was named as best dressed as well, which is really entertaining because, a lot of mostly white people didn't at all pay attention to what Enhypen was doing because it wasn't, another white person. So that's whimsical and fun. Anyway. But Enhypen had really big crowds. And because anyone who was in the crowd for Enhypen, most of them were people who were specifically there to see Enhypen at a very cheap price compared to a normal Enhypen ticket. Like all things considered, just like the entry fee. All right, now we're in all the silly stuff. We're fandom focused now, folks. We yet again had a Tumblr Sexyman poll align with a world leader death. The previous Tumblr Sexyman poll that a lot of people are familiar with was the top two were Reagan Arataka from Mob Psycho 100 and Sans Undertale. Sans won that poll. As far as I remember, Sans won that poll. And the day the win was announced was also when Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth died. This time, the Tumblr Sexyman poll was between Stanley Pines. I wrote down the wrong brother on the thing. I wrote Ford. That's because I like Ford more. Anyway, the Tumblr Sexyman poll this year was between Stanley Pines and Heinz Doofenshmirtz, and Stanley Pines did win, and then the Pope died. So, if we could stop having them coincide with such events, that'd be great. But it's really humorous that it did. Not the deaths, but the fact that they conveniently happened the same day as a Tumblr Sexyman poll. Yeah. The Last of Us show has finally caught up to a part of the game, and I'm going to say it is quite the fucking spoiler, so if you haven't seen it, skip ahead like a minute, just in case. The Last of Us show has finally caught up to the part where Joel fucking dies. Also, sorry, Pedro Pascal fans, because Joel dies. And you are safe from spoilers now. I will say, very impressive that people who are watching the show and finding out this big thing that happens for the first time, how the fuck did you avoid spoilers? Because the game has been out way longer than the show has, and the show, as far as I'm aware, is doing a 1-to-1 with the events. So how did you avoid spoilers this long? People, honestly impressive. In this day and age, very impressive. Next up, I saw some interaction bait on Twitter. It was an interaction bait that was like, who's a villain who was always 100% correct? Every, like, out of the like 200 quote retweets and replies that I looked at, like 100 replies, 100 quote retweets, more than half of them, I would wager even 75% of the ones that I saw, we're all Magneto. Magneto is correct. Because yes, he is. Hey, Magneto would be saying the same thing in America today. He'd be like, no, you don't get it. People will keep doing the thing that is not good. And lo and behold, Magneto's always right. Hey, in terms of his big point about humans will always fear mutants and therefore there will always be contention. Hey, replace mutants with just any minority group, and it's probably still a true statement. Because neurodivergent straight white people, especially neurodivergent straight white men, will always fear anyone else because they're so insecure about themselves and about the power they hold that they feel the need to do things that are terrible. And Magneto is always correct. Hey, if you are a Charles Xavier sympathizer, hey, no. Okay? You can't tell me that Charles Xavier is a good person. Child soldiers against the Geneva Convention. Also, if you're disagreeing with someone who, historically, is always correct, maybe look at yourself. But I specifically wanted to talk about it here and not interact with the actual post outside of liking a couple quote retweets. Because again, it was definitely interaction bait, but it was really funny that most of the replies were Magneto because that's true. Before I get into the thing that I will talk the most about, my birthday is this coming week. I'm turning 24. Well, technically it's on Monday. However, I have a rock show to go to Friday. I have D&D on Saturday. It's session 1. I'm the DM. It's also kind of a birthday party because I didn't intend on having a birthday party, but most of my friends that I'm able to see in person that are close enough that we can all meet up are conveniently in this group. So it's basically a birthday party. And then on top of that, I have a meeting the day after on Sunday for a theater production that I'm going to be a part of that I may also be auditioning for. So I have to talk to them about like, hey, one of my housemates is interested in like helping and doing stuff with and for theater. I also want to audition for this play. Would it be appropriate for me to have them as an assistant so that I can kind of teach them how that works, but then also I can audition? You know what I mean? Like a security, if I audition and get a part, I want it to also have it so that like if my housemate can get in to help, then if they're directly helping me, then it won't be as much of a worry if I get a part. You know what I mean? That was really long and convoluted, but I feel like I got my point across anyway. So thank you for putting up with that. And then after that meeting, the next day is my actual birthday. So I have a lot going on this whole week. This whole week feels very, very packed. So that's whimsical and fun. All right. Here we go, folks. My early birthday present that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. As you may have noticed, there's less topics than usual in my notes this week. It's because, like 3 days ago, my partner purchased for me the Final Fantasy XIV subscription. I had not played that game since 2022. So it's been almost 3 years. And a lot of places in my D&D campaign, I've been naming after places in Final Fantasy XIV because it's really hard for me to come up with as many names as I need. And no one in the group has played that game. So it worked. And I was like, man, I wish I could just play the game and walk up to the area I'm trying to describe so that I can have a more fresh image in my mind of what it looks like. And then I started watching Penny Snapcube play Final Fantasy XIV, and I went 5 years back in videos for that. Because, I wanted to see the whole journey. But lo and behold, my partner decided that they were going to pay for the subscription. So now I'm back on my Final Fantasy XIV shit. Literally all I've done the past couple days is like making things and like going mining and going and cutting some like lumber and stuff like that. I haven't actually done any of the fighting stuff really, because I did have to relearn how to play the game. I was playing it with a controller before, so I had to relearn the controls. So I've been like letting myself do that first. But I do think today, after recording, I'm going to do a low-level dungeon just to kind of get in the swing of it. To remember what I'm doing, if you will. So yeah, I'm back on my Final Fantasy XIV shit. My favorite scion of the 7th Dawn is Urianger, and my least favorite scion of the 7th Dawn is probably Thancred. Mainly because everyone who like showed the game to me for the first time was really trying to hype me up on Thancred, because he does have that like bad boy type aesthetic and feel, and he's definitely supposed to be like the prettiest girl at the party. However, L plus ratio plus very smart, very tall man who looks much older, obviously I'm gonna like Urianger more. I don't know what else to and also one of my housemates, their friend group has started playing the game. They've run into a bit of a scheduling conflict type thing. But once they get back to it, they're all relatively new to the game. So I have offered the fact that I've played the game longer than them as like a, if you need help, I'm here. I do have to figure out how to like go to other worlds again, because I did forget how to do that. But it'll be fun. I may switch to whatever world they're on, but they do make you pay $20 to do that, because you are moving your data from one server to another, and they do make you pay for it. But honestly, with how much other stuff you pay for, it's not that bad, especially since you usually only do that thing once. But I could always make a new character, so we'll see. I just have all of my good stuff on my one account. I have one character that I'm very attached to. Sorry, I spaced out thinking about her. My character is an Ora, which is like the dragon people. Yeah, I love her a lot. Okay. I'm gonna stop there because I yapped about that for like 10 minutes. We're gonna move on to the pyramid. Okay. This week's pyramid. First up on the pyramid is Marina Diamandis. She is lower on the pyramid than she was last week, but then again, I didn't pay as much attention to Coachella this week. So, by extension, she was less relevant this week to me, therefore lower on the pyramid. But she's still here. I really liked her outfit. And she's really popping off because the song Contissimo, first of all, it's called Contissimo. that already wins quite a bit. But we're kind of, because we're going into a recession, the Tumblr girlies are peaking up a bit. And Marina has always been there for Tumblr girlies. So like, because 2016 era Electra Heart was huge. So very glad that we're moving into another era in which people to the same font of as me of being a Tumblr girly. I'm not even a standard Tumblr girly because I'm so entrenched in fandom culture, but very exciting to see. Next up on the pyramid, we have Enhypen. I put the whole group on the pyramid because, again, I don't know any of their names, but they were, I do like some of their music. I do listen to Enhypen. I just don't know any of them. I particularly liked, I watched a clip of them performing Drunk Dazed at Coachella. It was very good. So hype. And also, again, they got voted best dressed by, I believe, Vogue, which is impressive because, you know, that means as a group, they all dressed the best. So that's really cool. So that's why Enhypen is on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid, we have DJO. I don't know if there's like a different way to pronounce it. Joe Keery, but his music career. He's on the pyramid this week because I've seen so many. He's on tour right now, and I've seen, and you know, new album. The Crux is out, and just seeing all of the tour pictures, some of them are really funny. There's this one picture of him where he got like so close to the camera that the person posted it and was like, "Sir, can you back up?" But also everyone who's been like meeting him, even if they're not going to the concert, if they've just like, they saw him in their city on the street and they got a picture with him, everyone says he's quite delightful to be around, which is really encouraging. Because, you know, some artists are really standoffish with fans outside of like concerts and stuff. And I mean like people who actively are like, no. Like there's a I don't mean celebrities who just like ignore fans on the street, or like celebrities who set proper boundaries like Chapel Roan, where she's like, please don't come up to me. I mean like celebrities who haven't said anything about it in general, but are just more hostile when you try to talk to them. Because like, hey, you don't have to be hostile. You can just set a boundary publicly and not be a dick about it. Like, I understand it's a lot and it's stressful and you don't want that constantly and you may be annoyed by it. Doesn't mean you have to be mean to people. So it's really encouraging to hear that Joe Keery is not like that. Our next two spots on the pyramid are silly. Next up on the pyramid is Heinz Doofenshmirtz. I think he should have won the Tumblr Sexyman poll. They put a terrible picture of him up. They put like default PNG Heinz Doofenshmirtz next to like practically shirtless Stan. Not fair. I do think he should have won, but that's only because in terms of DILF quality, he technically qualifies more because he does have a daughter. I don't find him hot. I'm more saying that like, hey, Tumblr, why aren't you voting for the true 100% DILF? But then next up on the pyramid is Stanley Pines. The only reason he's higher on the pyramid than Doofenshmirtz is because he did win the competition by a good amount. And he gets to be up here. I love Gravity Falls. I do like his brother more, though. I am more a fan of Ford than I am of Stan. Stanley, I mean, look at him. You know what I mean? But I am preferable to Ford, but I do think it's because between the two, Stanford has more of a professor type persona, and Stanley is a wreck, and like a con man and a gremlin. Not to say that they're not both gremlins, to be so real. They are twins. But you know, one's just more to my taste than the other. But Stanley Pines does get his slot on the pyramid, second slot on the pyramid, because he did win the Tumblr Sexyman poll this year, which I haven't seen any fan art of him shaking hands with Sans Undertale, and I think there should be, because they've both won the competition. Additionally, I think they should fight. Just saying. All right. Number 1 on the pyramid. This was a very easy decision because Final Fantasy XIV is all I've been thinking about this whole week. Number 1 on the pyramid is Penny Snapcube. Shout out to the YouTube channel Snapcube2. I'm watching so much Final Fantasy XIV. If I'm not playing Final Fantasy XIV, chances are I'm just watching Penny play Final Fantasy XIV. I've also played the game and watched at the same time. Snapcube2 as a channel. The normal official Snapcube channel is a comfort channel because of the Sonic fandubs, of course. But also also any of the real-time fandubs. I'm very particular to the Sly Cooper one, even though I literally don't know anything about Sly Cooper. Maybe that's why it's funny to me. I don't know. But Snapcube 2 specifically is more of a VOD channel, and it has much more relaxed content. There's much more chill vibe. It's not as structured necessarily. And I like that a lot more, honestly. So shout out to that. So thank you, Penny Snapcube, for that. And I think there's like 86 videos. I will probably get through all of them and then get to experience Dawn Trail, the new expansion, through Felbly. Because I only have up to... I don't remember if I have up to Endwalker or no, not Stormblood. I definitely have Endwalker. I don't remember what the last expansion I have is. But anyway, that's the whole pyramid. Next week may be a little wonk because it will have been my birthday. I will be filming the day after my birthday. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited for this week, but I am stressed out. So, fingers crossed I survive. Fingers crossed I survive the machinations of my own psyche. Just kidding. Me and my psyche are like this, literally and figuratively. So I'm really excited though. I'll also maybe have a little bit of theater to talk about next week. So, hopefully. If anything, I can be like, the meeting went well. So, you'll hear something about it. So, with that, that's all we got on the docket today, y'all. Thank you so much, of course, for watching. Your viewership's important to me. This is a purely viewer-motivated channel. So, outside of me just wanting to track this over time, it means a lot to me that you're interested in someone tracking their hyperfixations over time, because it also, in a way, tracks how the world looked like to me in each of those moments. So, very excited to continue doing this. So, with that, I will see y'all next week. I'll be 24 by then. Crazy work. For anyone curious, that does mean that I am a Taurus. Don't know if that matters to you, but that is the zodiac categorization I fall under. But regardless, have a good rest of your week. Have a good rest of your day, whether you're going to bed or waking up. And I'll see y'all next time. Have a good one, y'all.